not stress your party. You hate Trump, Biden, shouting. You tell every kid you see that you are gay. Science makes you mad, and that makes make you glad. For 8 years now we got them, is all you said. Biology is just too much, so the doctors cut off your nuts, and you think that you ought to obey. Call me names and swear at me, because you change the way you be, and I don't want to live your fantasy. I know I'm right, you're fucking crazy. And tonight I'm gonna prove just how much you ain't too bright. You're kinda lazy. I know you're wrong, I know I'm right, you're fucking nuts.
I don't like you.
What?
I said I don't like you.
You don't like me?
No.
That cartoon still cracks me up. Let me check my mic, make sure it's working. Oh yeah, I got the mic. I moved the button, so the mic should work tonight. One thing I have to do before we really kick shit off is just go fuck with somebody. You know those people going, what crime is Sniffy Joe being accused of? So here we go. All right. Oh, where is it? Here we go. This is the one. There we go. Just wanted to, I doubt they never come over. Don't care. Like I said, the opening video is hilarious. I don't like you. I don't care. But, let me get my, in medical news, I went to the dentist today. I guess I have a tumor in my face, so I have to get a biopsy next week. I really don't care. My actually wife was more like, I was like, what are you going to do? Got my license, got the receipt in the mail. I get the actual license in 10 to 12 days. It's Brazil. Well, then again, in the United States, I literally lived around the corner from the DMV and had to wait to get my license in the mail. So think about that. Let's start off with a little humor from one of our better presidents, one of the best of the...
There was once upon a time that to be a Republican in this area of the country felt a little bit like being Gary Cooper in High Noon, outnumbered in a big way. But I remember the story of a fellow who was running for office as a Republican, and he was in a rural area and it wasn't known to be Republican, and he stopped by a farm to do some campaigning, and when the farmer heard he was a Republican, his jaw dropped and he said, "Wait right here till I go get Ma. She's never seen a Republican before." So he got her, and the candidate looked around for a podium from which to give his speech, and the only thing he could find was a pile of that stuff that Bess Truman took 35 years trying to get Harry to call fertilizer. So he got up on the mound, and when they came back, he gave his speech. And at the end of it, the farmer said, "That's the first time I ever heard a Republican speech." And the candidate said, "That's the first time I've ever given a Republican speech." from a Democratic platform.
Now, if something to think about, all the economic successes that Trump had and all that. If you look at what Reagan did and what Trump did, Trump wasn't the first one to do it. He did everything Reagan did. Lowered taxes, so people spent more money, more tax revenue to the government, deregulation, tried to fix the military, signed a treaty that got us out of Afghanistan, and then old Puddinhead fucked up with the withdrawal. Fuck you, by the way. By the way, when we were in Afghanistan, or I was in Afghanistan, we were fucking winning. So I thought tonight I shared this group or this live stream with some of my Brazilian friends at the college. So amigos, amigas, você aqui, bem-vindo. Perdão minha juiz, minha língua, porque juiz muito. It means I swear a lot. But I thought people a little education, a little culture tonight. I want to show you guys some videos about Brazil, which I think I've done before, but we'll
Yo, what's up, galera? This video is going to be a little bit different. Usually I make videos in Portuguese for Brazilians. This video is going to be in English for people that want to visit Brazil, people that have never visited Brazil, so they can get a better idea of what Brazil is really like. Of course, this video is only a couple minutes, so it's a very brief summary, but I think a few tips here you will find useful.
I think Brazil is a better
Americans,
vacation
Canadians,
spot
and Japanese
than Florida.
citizens, you no longer need visas, so it's a great time to come visit Brazil. Take advantage of all the cool stuff this beautiful country has to offer. I visited many countries, and Brazil
Cheaper.
is my favorite. The culture is exciting, the weather, wow, it's just amazing. But there are some things you should avoid. Brazilians, feel free to correct anything I missed and share this with your gringo friend who wants to visit Brazil. First thing, don't speak Spanish. They do not speak Spanish. Brazilians were colonized by the Portuguese. The whole country speaks Portuguese. Instead of asking, ¿hablas inglés? Say, ¿fala inglés? Or hasta luego? No, no, no. Até logo. Y no
Some
es
of it's
gracias,
close, like
obrigado for a man, and obrigado
hombre,
for a woman.
man in
Okay,
Spanish.
the next thing, you
Homie,
often hear Brazilians criticize Brazil.
man
Some of their
in
criticisms are valid, some are exaggerations, and some are just ridiculous. But just because you hear Brazilians talking bad about Brazil does not mean you can talk bad about Brazil. I learned this one. Brazilians will say many things. You'll see them in the comments, but you should avoid saying negative things about Brazil. They will turn on you in a second. It's kind of like your family. Like, yeah, you can talk about your family, but other people can't talk bad about your family. Does that make sense? Don't ask if they walk around the beaches topless. There are a few nude beaches in the country, just like there are some.
They don't have to.
beaches in
They
the
don't
United
wear
States,
much
but
to start
it's
with.
illegal in most places to walk around topless. In Europe, I think it can be fairly common in certain places, but in Brazil, it is not. But you should show a little more skin than you're accustomed to in the United States. The bikinis and the sungas, which are.
You ever see me in a sunga, it's because I'm dead ass drunk and have no idea what I'm doing.
The male kind of Speedo are very common. Well, it actually depends on the city, but you're very likely to see them. Speaking of cities, don't assume Brazil is just Rio and Sao Paulo. I've spent a lot of time in both those cities. They're incredible cities, but the country is a huge country. It's the size of a continent. They have various different types of landscapes, architecture. They have beach, they have colonial cities. You should check out Bonito. It's a swampland. It's beautiful. I've actually never been there, so it's on my list. The Amazon is wonderful. Down south, the culture is a little bit different. And there's a lot of regionalism too, so be careful when you're talking about one city over another, because that can get you into some arguments. It's basically best to avoid talking about religion, soccer teams, and what else? And politics. Yeah, don't talk about those things. Don't throw toilet paper in the toilets. Yes, generally there's a little trash can on the side of the toilets where you throw the toilet paper.
I use
Most
baby wipes.
toilets cannot handle toilet paper and they will get clogged. So if you see a little trash bin on the side with kind of smelly toilet paper, yeah, that's actually pretty normal. And if you throw the toilet paper in the toilet, it will get clogged. A few exceptions. Some places have better plumbing than others, but that's a general rule. Don't slam the car door.
Oh,
Americans, wow, like when they're in Ubers, they just really just slam the car doors. People will get mad at you.
Yeah, because it breaks the fucking door.
So generally Brazilians shut the car door very gently. Just a little tip. And most Americans don't even realize they did something rude because the guy yells at them in Portuguese, but I've noticed. An important rule, the beer has to be very, very cold. It's offensive if you give someone a beer that's warm. They just like won't accept it. So like you might think it's cold, but it needs to be even colder than you think. And generally beer, if you go to a bar, you'll buy it in like a 600 milliliter bottle with little cups. They're actually called copos americanos, American cups, which is kind of funny because I've never seen them in the United States. And you should always pour your friend's beer before yours. So if there's 3 people and you're about to pour some beer for yourself, it's customary to pour your friend's beer first. If not, you look kind of rude. And then at the end of the night, generally, if you're going to a club or even some bars, you'll get a consumption card or a come on. And you don't want to lose that because they're checking off what you bought. And if you lose that, they might try to charge you a lot of money at the end of the night. If you have some Portuguese skills, you can usually get your way out of it, but try not to lose that card or you might get yourself into some problems. Other things to avoid, like don't get into taxis that don't have meters. I made that mistake once. Believe me, they'll try to get you. As far as tipping, it's not really customary, but sometimes you'll see a 10% service charge. That's just included in the bill. But I mean, if you tip,
wait a minute, I think I have a taker or probably an insult. Let me see here. Yeah. Let me see what he has to say. Yeah. All right, and then I'll get back to Portuguese. But these are fun. These are actually funnier. Well, not so much, but the loony left trying to ignore Biden's corruption. Oh yeah, they're trying to. My favorite, yeah. Somehow that or makes bribery legal, I guess. Don't know. Let's get back to Brazil. They're fucking stupid. Because they can come over here and say that.
It's not like Japan where tipping can be offensive. Brazil, if you want to tip, go ahead, but it's not mandatory. But you will usually see like a 10% service fee. This one's more for single guys traveling. Don't treat Brazil like a sex tourism country.
Yeah,
it's not a very complicated country. In one sense, Brazilians are very liberal and open and free with their bodies, but in another sense, it's a very conservative country. And I've seen a lot of gringos that just kind of assume, just for being gringos, that the girl is going to want them. So just, you know, be respectful. Respect the ladies out there. And on the other side of that, so Brazil,
don't be a pussy either.
Mistakes. Either they are way too aggressive and assume that all girls want them just because they have an American passport. But then I've seen the other side where Americans are a little too slow to get the point when a girl is interested in them. So like if you see the girl like mexendo com o cabelo, te olhando, te dando pouco de mole, vai lá falar com ela. Don't waste too much time if you do think the girl is interested in you. You will see a lot of kissing in restaurants, even like at lunchtime. It's a very kissing culture. It's not very uncommon, and that might not lead to anything else. That might just be a kiss, but it's pretty common to see kissing down there. So if a girl is interested in you and you're talking to her and you're getting all the right signals, don't be afraid to try your luck.
I'm married, so I don't have this problem.
Okay, showing your valuables. Now, I'm not going to get into the security problems with Brazil. There are some. It definitely depends on where you're going. It also depends on what time you're going and what time of the year. Like a carnival season will have higher pickpocket incidents. And also like alone and late at night, it's like just not a good idea. Take Uber, be safe, don't bring anything valuable. I've been there for 3 years. I lost one cell phone because I was being stupid.
Yeah, I don't even do it.
On the beach with my
well, I don't go to Chicago.
Just like asking for problems during Carnival. So
America has the same problems.
I made it easy for them. But generally speaking, be smart. Don't bring out things you don't want to lose. Don't show your wealth. Don't flash money around, watches, iPhone. You can bring your iPhone maybe, but don't bring out your iWatch, all that stuff. Just leave it home. You're here to enjoy good conversations, a nice beer at the bar, but don't get carried away bringing around too much stuff. Just be safe. As far as visiting the favelas, people will give you different advice on this. First of all, the favelas are places where people live. So it's just a normal community. It happens to be lower income community. You'll see them on the hills. There are problems with violence depending on which favela you're talking about. You know, some are relatively pacified, some are very dangerous, and this could change day to day. So really, you gotta treat that with caution. Don't treat it like a tourist destination because it's a place where people live. It's a place where people make their living, they work. So treat that area with respect. I visited a few. One is Vidigal in Rio, and it's kind of actually a pretty touristy, not so touristy. I mean,
yeah, it's Rio de Janeiro.
But they have built some attractions to attract tourism, and that one's pretty safe to go. But you know, pay attention to what's going on day to day in the news. And then I went with my friend to teach an English class. He works with a non-profit organization, and this fellow is Complexo de Limão. I wouldn't recommend going there by yourself. So if you want to go with a friend, maybe go with an organization. And if you're going to take a local tour, try to take one with someone that's from the community, someone that's actually trying to give back to the community, because there's also some people that just try to come in and you know, take advantage of the fact that people want to visit the favela and they don't actually do anything to help the favela. So that was pretty quick video. I mean, there's so many more things I could cover. I know my audience is mostly Brazilian, so just trying to give a little hint, because I made a video a couple weeks in Harvard, one of the best universities, and they didn't even know the capital of Brazil, which was Brasilia. So do a little homework, find some fun facts. Just read the Wikipedia page. It's really all you have to do to be 100% better than the average gringo. I mean, obviously try to study more, learn the history. It's a great country that I've pretty much lived there for the last 3 years. Hope to be back soon. And don't forget to enjoy the beers, enjoy the caipirinhas, but drink a lot of water, use sunblock. It's hot down there. Protect your skin, protect your skin. Até mais. See you next time. Peace.
I personally believe, as a vacation spot, this is better than any place in the United States. One, because it's cheaper. I could look up the exchange rate right now. I think it's like $4.90 something right now. So you get almost 5 reals for $1. And they love dollars down here, but you'll go to go through the exchange when you get off the plane, and their exchange may be different. I'm just going on what's my bank, which is outside Brazil, the exchange rate they give. That's more on Brazil. This guy, this one here is so true. American women are such, how can I put this? Cunts, but some. The Me Too movement, for example.
Now that I'm living in Brazil, I was just sitting here wondering, now that I've adapted to the culture completely just about now, with all this kissing and hugging and very direct, and we don't really flirt too much, we just get straight to the business that the culture is here in Brazil, what would happen if you just took a Brazilian man, blindfolded him, and just threw him somewhere in the United States? And he tried to adapt to the culture, and he treated the women the same way. Being direct, straight to the point, no games. He would be put in jail. The way how you can deal with women down here in a very natural fucking way, in the States it's so taboo. And then the women act like they're single because don't nobody want to fuck with you. I don't want to fuck with you. That's why I left. I can't do shit with you. I can't even flirt with you without it being a problem. So Brazilian men, don't come to the United States and get your passports really that bad.
Mm-hmm. Here, like in the United States, you need a visa here for a 90-day stay. All you need is a passport. When you get off the plane, you'll have to download a document off the internet. You'll get off the plane and they'll stamp the date you arrived. That's it. And you have 90 days. Every year you get a new 90 days. It's almost like currency. Great vacation spot.
Where are you from?
I'm from Brazil.
Are you visiting New York?
No, I live in New Jersey. I've been here almost 4 years.
How do you like it comparing to Brazil?
Like the safety here, and like I can walk in the street and get robbed.
What do people in Brazil usually think about US or Americans?
That they are perfect.
Really? They want to...
Yeah, they think that they are perfect, that everything's so good here, everything's amazing here, but in reality, when you come here to live, it's not like that.
Let me explain what I explained to Brazilians. They think if they move to America, they're going to be making so much money. What they don't understand is they're going to be making with the there's no exchange rate in the United States. A dollar is a dollar, because they see what I have here, and they think that's because they don't understand the difference in currency and its worth. So I tell them, are you poor here? No, yeah. And I go, well, you'll be poor there. You'll just be poor in a different currency. It's green, not blue, and all these fine, fancy colors. You'll be just as poor. Bidenomics, noun. Paying more for voting stupid. What's next on my Brazil? Oh, these are funny and they're true.
E aí, I'm Dennis, and I'm Brazilian. Here are the signs you're Brazilian.
Dennis.
Restaurant thing. All of it.
We're very affectionate people and we love to show it.
So your tables ready? Okay, I'll just wait till you guys finish.
The only way Brazilians eat pizza is with a fork and a knife. Any other way is pretty confusing.
I finally got my wife to eat it with her hands folded.
Como é que faz esse
She still puts ketchup
come esse engarfaca? Eu não entendo isso.
What's mine is yours is more than a saying to Brazilians. It's a lifestyle. As long as it exists, we'll find a way to share it.
It's kind of cold in here.
Let me share my sweater.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why does it have to be so cold in here? It's like the AC is on all
Do
the
you want
time.
to squeeze into my sweater?
I mean, you guys are already sharing. It's okay.
No, come on, come over here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh my god, thank you.
There's always room for one more.
Come here. Yeah.
Is there room for one more?
Yeah.
Oh, and we love a good cafezinho.
Who's first?
I am.
All right.
If you're Brazilian, anything you buy, you parcela.
Hold up. I love this bag.
Oh yeah, how much is it?
For you, $50.
All right, here's how we're gonna do it. $5 now, 9 more payments later.
That's not how bags work.
Thanks.
Thanks.
That's not how bags work. Oh, this guy don't know how bags work.
Literally
I'm
everything.
gonna show him how bags work.
Our snacks are irresistible.
Careful. It's hot.
Pão de queijo.
Wash it down with guaraná.
That's the national soda.
Is that better?
I still like my Pepsi.
I'm making brigadeiros next.
Okay, guys, here's the check. Thank you for coming.
A meal is a social event, and Brazilians will continue to linger well after eating.
All right, thank you guys for coming.
Oh, sorry, we didn't pay yet.
Please pay anytime, but soon.
Thank you.
Tá cedo ainda, né? A gente tem que...
Perdeu o pênalti contra o Palmeiras, cara.
Hey, whoa, guys, I'm gonna have to ask you to pay for your meal right now.
So sorry, man, we completely forgot.
You know, actually, I'm kind of hungry. Can we get some fries?
No, the kitchen's closed.
We're expected to bring home countless gadgets and clothing for our friends and family. This makes packing very difficult.
Let's do this.
iPad! Careful with the iPad! They don't
Electronics are cheaper in
Pennies!
America
Get the
than
pennies! What are we doing this? I think I did it. I think it all fit.
Not like this.
They do these videos for Peru and all the Spanish-speaking countries too.
Puta que pariu.
I love these videos are hilarious and they're true. Oh, is this? Where's the one with? Maybe I missed that one. Oh no, here it is. Yes.
Hello, beautiful people. Today I'm going to go and talk to some of my peers about what they know about Brazil. It should be fun. They might seem a little bit reserved. That's because we generally are here in the US. So let's see what happens. Have fun.
I like how many times they mention.
What comes to mind when you think of Brazil?
Oh, I don't know. Booties.
Booties.
Yeah, Brazilian butts. They're the best.
Rainforest.
All right, beautiful women.
Beautiful women?
The last one's probably
What else you
liberal.
got? Comes to mind.
South America.
I just know the women, they bad. I mean,
They speak Portuguese in Brazil, and they produce a lot of Brazil nuts.
First thing that comes to mind is amazing soccer and amazing skateboarders.
Well, I know that they were.
What do you call these
They
nuts
have
in
to
Brazil?
clean up quite a bit
Nuts?
because of the high crime rate and just the the poverty that's in Brazil.
Amazon, maybe, I don't know if that's in Brazil.
Yes, large portion.
just another country.
Soccer.
Football.
Do you know anything else whatsoever?
Don't put toilet paper in the toilets.
I'm gonna go sit down right next to these people that I do not know. Let's do it.
Now, I know they have a really bad overpopulation problem, but a lot of people do nowadays. I had heard about the World Cup coming there, and a few months ago or something, I heard a story about some local soccer game in Brazil where, and I'm serious though, some player got into a fight with the ref stabbed the player, and then there was this huge uproar or something, and apparently a lot of the fans went and killed the ref then that attacked the player.
Is that right?
Yeah, I don't know how legitimate that is, but that's what I heard.
I've never heard it.
Cattle.
Cattle?
Yeah. Number 2
the women like
order of beef.
The women apparently like
behind Texas.
I have a friend who's living there now. She says all the women wearing earrings.
Really? It's a trend?
That's what she said.
Would you go and visit Brazil then?
Any day, yeah. I mean, I don't know if I can spit game, but should be worth it. It'd be worth it. I mean, shit, you know me.
I'd like to go there just to see the World Cup. That's what I'd like.
Probably, because I have friends down there.
You got friends down here bringing shit about Brazil.
I would definitely carry some sort of weapon.
Yes.
Howdy.
Because I am huge into rainforests and animals and exotic places without people.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's kind of pretty fun. Yeah.
Probably not. I mean, unless it was just for the booties. If there was a way for me to just get the booties and then cut out all the other stuff, that's the only reason I go to Brazil.
All right, I'm here with my father, Glenn Sr., and I'm putting him on the spot. I want to know what he thinks about Brazil. See what goes.
What do I think about Brazil?
Yes, sir.
I think it's a large country in South America with
very astute
beaches, a wonderful Latin culture, beautiful people,
friendly.
The Amazon is down there. I know there's lots of jungles, rainforests, anacondas,
piranha.
What else?
Jacare.
Would you ever consider visiting Brazil?
Absolutely. It's on my to-do list.
He's going to come visit me, I believe. We'll see. Thank you very much for your time.
Yep. You're welcome.
Perfect. So easy. Yeah, we need...
So I guess he's going to Brazil?
Heavy. So we are going to find people to interview and ask them about Brazil.
Alright, make sure you listen up. Hey, do you guys have a second? Can I ask you about the president? Okay.
We did have a dude from California.
Oh man.
Only fall.
What comes to mind when you think about Brazil? Brazil. Nothing? Have a good day.
Thanks.
I want to find an Amish fellow to interview, and I think he is down here, so here we go.
Yeah.
Ghana, instead of going.
Yeah. Back to the fun stuff.
You're Brazilian? Wow, man, I thought you were just a regular white dude.
I am Brazilian and I'm white.
No. You can't be both. You got to choose, bruh.
Hey, Dennis. Can you translate this from English to Spanish for me?
Actually, I speak Portuguese.
Isn't it the same thing?
No, it's not.
Sao Paulo. That city's got that huge Jesus statue up on the hill with the big arms out.
And I'm actually tired of hearing Sao Paulo.
Yeah, that's actually real, man.
Floripa, man.
How did you deal with all that violence? I mean, the child gangs, slums.
Let me guess, you just watched City of God.
Yes. Your people go through so much. Hola, señor, ¿cómo está?
It's
Spanish. It's not Portuguese.
Mucho brava.
Still Spanish.
Oh man, The Girl from Ipanema. That song is the best song. Do you know that song?
Yeah, I know it.
Tall and thin and dark and lovely, the girl.
It's my brother, that's his wife, and that's my cousin.
Those are Brazilian people. All of them.
Yes.
She does not look like a supermodel.
Okay, that's really disrespectful, man.
I'm sorry,
It's my
man.
cousin.
I bet you had a pet monkey and a piranha growing up. You guys would get in a boat and go along the Amazonian rainforest
Look,
and...
I had a dog, and her name was Millie.
Oh,
You look disappointed.
yeah, man. It's not fun.
All right, here. Let me teach you some Portuguese.
Okay.
Okay? Oi, como você tá?
Oi, come on over here and sit down.
Boy, what are you doing?
Essa comida é muito boa.
Or how are you?
Essa comida de my boys.
You just said my boys at the end. It's like, that's English.
Come see, come saw.
I mean to dish you, nothing like that. I need to get more cultured. I'm gonna go to your capital next week.
Nice.
Check it out. Buenos Aires is beautiful this time of year.
Okay,
I read about it in the internet.
Oh, hold on.
You know.
Buenos Aires is actually the capital of Argentina.
What's Argentina?
Come on, do a little samba with me.
It's not really my thing.
Oh, yes it is.
Here, right now. Do it. 3, 2, here we go. Ooh.
Not everybody here plays soccer.
Damn.
And caipirinhas and soccer.
Those are just stereotypes.
Oh, sorry. Football.
I don't even watch soccer.
Well, then what do you do with your own braids?
Serious topic. Grooming kids. Grooming and mutilating or grooming and chemically castrating children. And as Grumpy Farmer will tell you, I hate these fucking groomers.
People are incredibly afraid to even have the conversation.
You're telling them.
Would you like to present an argument? What's
Bigot. Call me whatever you want, it's fine. Because those
Yeah,
words
it
are really
doesn't-
meaningless. It's like, it's at the basic point where it's like, if you say things like, oh, well, you know, there are differences between men and women, that's transphobic. Great, that's actually wonderful that that's transphobic because you make the word meaningless. You
strive on this? What is bigoted about saying that children cannot consent to puberty blockers?
He has no opinion. You have no opinion.
Well,
Here you are with the.
Let's hear your opinion.
Huh?
Let's hear your opinion.
You.
There you
How
go.
dare you?
That's the loony left.
Validate this bullshit.
You're no longer able to, like, talk in your workplace. You're no longer able to talk in public. If you're connected to any type of institution, like a school or anything like that, you are now self-censoring. And it's like, if you are self-censoring people to the point where they can't say simple things like, only women give birth, all other political discussions become moot.
Exactly. Tell me I'm wrong. They're grooming your kid. Why aren't you shooting these motherfuckers? The forefathers shot people over taxes. They are grooming and chemically castrating your kids. Taxes deserves a bullet to the head, but fucking up your kid for the rest of their life doesn't. Okay. Holy fuck.
I'm just astonished that these books are not being shut down right here and now, that you're able to listen through all of this content, knowing that if they were shut down, that they would be taken off the shelves.
Yep.
And that is pure evil that we're dealing with right now. And I want to thank everybody here that are fighting for our children. This is absolutely disgusting.
No shit.
Another FYI, all of these books that we are reading, we know the process. Every single one of them have already gone through the steps and have been challenged by the principal.
Yep.
So to bring that up, just so everybody knows, they have already been challenged. This book is about rape of a minor, an 11-year-old girl, pedophilia. It's currently in the Freshman Learning Center and actually removed in the Sebastian River High School, Why it got removed in Sebastian and not here is beyond me. On page 20 it reads, "If this is really your first time," he says, "oh, Mumtaz, it's a tricky one." He unbuckles his belt. "Once before, she sold Habib used goods. The fish lips man removes my dress. I wait for myself to protest, but nothing happens. Habib," he says, "Habib is good with the ladies."
Habib.
Then he is on top of me, and something hot and insistent in between my legs. He grunts and struggles, trying to fit himself inside me.
I'm sorry, I know you did a content warning, but I just want to remind people there's a content warning here in case
I
of the
think all
children.
these need content warnings,
Probably,
which mean
yes,
they
sir.
need to take off of the shelf.
I just want to make sure I get
To
the
have
content warning.
every one of them do. With a sudden thrust, I am torn in two. "Oh yes," he says, panting. "Habib is good in bed," I hear, coming from distant. A steady thud, 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 and a register that this is the sound of headboard hitting the wall. After a while, I don't know how long, another sound interrupts the rhythmic thud of headboard. I know this noise from somewhere. I work very hard to make it out. Finally, I identify it. It is the muffled sound of sobbing. These books need to be removed from our kids. I don't know if any of you have any. I don't even know why we're up here. This was challenged in January 1st on this book. We demand these books be removed from our
Thank you,
schools.
sir. All right, Susan.
Let me explain. Let me explain the difference between your average everyday groomer and pedophile and your loony leftist groomer and pedophile. Your average everyday groomer / pedophile will try to hide his desires for children, will try to hide his grooming. These scumbags, the loony leftist groomer and pedophile, will put them to paper, their desires, their experiences, so on and so forth, put a cover on it, and put it in a school library. Again, the forefathers shot motherfuckers over taxes. They're grooming and castrating your kids.
Because critics on the right have noted that New York City is a sanctuary city, and this migrant crisis comes with that territory. So what do you say to those who think you relinquish your right to complain about the stresses it places on your city because of that?
Well, I think that those comments coming from those far-right Trump-like Republicans who are continue to try to distort the reality that we do not have real immigration reform, that we should allow a true decompression strategy, protect our borders in the right way. No one who created this decades ago took into account that we were talking about hundreds of thousands of people potentially coming to the city.
Guys, nobody who thought of this stuff thought people might actually show up. How was I supposed to know if we said we're a sanctuary city? Come here, we won't kick you out. Whose fault is it really? Of course, it's the mean Trump, MAGA Republicans, and the people not taking care of the border.
Yes, the people not taking care of the border. Who's in charge of that? Wait a minute. Cackling Kamala? And, of course, then we have there's no evidence of Sniffy Joe's wrongdoing. One of them actually asked, what crime is he accused of? It's called bribery, you fucking idiots. Taking money for favors is called bribery. Those are the idiots I invited over here. And if they had come, I would go back to the timeline and we could do it live, like I have it. Saved on my computer, not saved on my, but the link. It goes all the way back to 2009 when Obama took office, then jumps to 2013 when he was vice president, or they were vice president. He was flying him on Air Force 2 to make business deals and meeting his. But he didn't know shit about what he was doing, and they were making phone calls to him, but they don't know shit. And this one's going to
Okay, let's talk about this for a second. The President of the United States has, of course, lots of responsibilities, but the very first one, the one right after zero, is to protect the citizens of the United States.
Okay, I'm going to say this for the 100th fucking time to you fucking... I like John Schneider, and but the government's job is not to fucking protect you. Never did I take an oath, or did the president or any other member of the government take an oath to protect you. That's why they have the Second Amendment. Their job is to follow the Constitution. That's it. It's not to protect you, not to give you fucking health care, not to... Now, he's going to mention the border. He's right. That is the government's job. We are a sovereign nation. That's why in the Constitution it gives them the right to raise an army. Not to protect your dumbasses, to support, and I put my oath of enlistment in the description. Read it. Find the word protect there. God, I'm tired of saying this shit, people. Did you forget the last 3 fucking years? You have to get the hokey pokey so you can protect people. You have to wear a face diaper to protect people. It's not their fucking job to support and defend the Constitution. That's it, your rights. Their job is to protect your rights. That's it. You are supposed to protect yourself, and they're making it harder and harder by using that phrase, we're doing it to protect you. We're doing it to protect the children. That's not your fucking job. Read the Bill of Rights. The word protect isn't anywhere fucking in there.
To protect the citizens of the United States. This fentanyl poisoning that's going on, this lack, you can't even call people illegal aliens anymore because there are no laws to keep them out.
Yes, they are. It's in the Constitution. That is in the Constitution. That's what makes us a sovereign nation. That's why we have an army.
God bless them. You want to come into the United States? Why wouldn't you? It's the greatest country in the world. Was, and it will be again. But here's my point. The present administration is not just doing a terrible job at protecting us. It is refusing to do so. So there's a difference between having a plan and
he is right here. They are refusing to do their constitutional duty as leaders of this sovereign country in protecting its sovereignty. But it has nothing to do with protecting you. Go buy a fucking gun. Also, don't buy fentanyl. You stop buying it, they'll stop sending it.
Executing it poorly and just not doing it, refusing to do it.
This I can agree with. Yes, they're refusing to follow the Constitution. To me, I think he says it later, that's treason. That's not following your oath of office. It's in the Constitution. Part of your job is to defend the borders of the United States. That's why we have an army.
So the current administration is refusing protection of the people of the United States.
Stop saying that. The current administration is refusing to follow the fucking Constitution. Better wording, because that's exactly what they're doing. They have no obligation to protect you. The Supreme Court has said the police don't even have the obligation to protect you. Their job is to enforce the laws. This administration isn't doing their fucking job.
Which is its what? Not 32nd responsibility, not 20th, not 10th, not 8th, not 5th. It's first responsibility. And it is refusing to do it. Which in my book, which I think is called the Constitution, is treason. Think about it.
He's right, it is treason, but not for the reason he's giving.
Think about it.
It's treason because they're not following their oath, they're not following the Constitution. Constitution demands that they defend the sovereignty of the United States. That's why they have the authority to raise an army. They have no obligation to protect you at all. That's why they draft people like you, to protect the sovereignty of the United States. That's why we have the Selective Service. Their job is not to protect you. That's why you have rights, like the Second Amendment, which they're gutting. Why? Because it's to protect you. It's to protect the children. It's to protect this one and protect that one, which isn't their fucking job. That's your job. You should say, leave me the fuck alone. Let me use my Second Amendment. I'll protect myself. Because once the government is protecting you, they can tell you what's good for you. Rights don't matter anymore. You're right. The Second Amendment is prime example. The Second Amendment, where Trump did away with bump stocks, which I don't think you fucking need anyway. If you can't fucking shoot, you can't shoot. But he did away with bump stocks. Why? To protect you. As far as I'm concerned, if you're a fucking idiot, you need to die. We're the only species on the planet that goes out of its way to fuck with the rules of Mother Nature. We keep our idiots and worthless fucks alive, where if we dropped them into the wild and followed those rules, they'd fucking die early. And good riddance for most of them. Instead, we put them in prison and they rot and we pay for them because we feel sorry for them. I don't feel sorry for anybody who's fucking stupid. Oh, where were we? Here we go. Race. Because I'm tired of
fences and look at Troy's and his choices. Initially, you get a negative reaction, but then when you try to understand him, go beyond what we see, we find that this is a good man who has been unjustly treated. And this is a man who had big dreams and he ended up collecting garbage. Is this a fair assessment of him and his behavior?
Of course, it also depends on the setting of the movie. If it was in the 60s, yes, the Democrats were fucking the the blacks over. Even into the 70s when they were doing the, trying to, well, we'll face it, same Democrats, different plantation, trying to get them married to the government.
The thing about great writing, August Wilson, Eugene O'Neill, you name it, Arthur Miller, Tennessee Williams, there's so many layers. It's not just one thing. It's open to interpretation. I've heard people say things, well, I felt he was this and that. I was like, oh, I never thought about that, but okay. People ask me, well, what do I want them to get from the film? I say, well, it depends upon what they bring to it. So what you see in Troy or feel about Troy has to do with your own life and, standards and all of you.
Well, it's not only about anybody's life. It's, in a way, he personifies the Black American experience. He's somebody who, had he not faced the racial discrimination, he could have been a great athlete, a star. But because of that, he ended up a garbage collector. And perhaps this self-destructiveness, do you think, is it was caused by racial discrimination? And is that the effect of racial discrimination on people?
Here's the thing you got to remember when you talk about racial and you talk about discrimination. Maybe, what if he just wasn't good enough? See, it's so easy to just say, oh, it's because of this. It's because of racism. Oh, I didn't get the job because of that. Maybe you weren't good enough. Maybe, like his wife says, you were just too old. She says, why don't you just admit it? You were too old. He's the one that's hung up on,
But we know for a fact that so many talented African Americans who don't achieve their goals, or they are prevented or deprived from achieving their big dreams because of
back then, yes.
I'll give you an example. Globetrotters, they were much better basket players than the white guys, but they were not allowed to play in the big league.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think it is the problem is the racial discrimination?
Who plays in the
right
NBA
word
today?
Was. And that's
Thank
not
you.
the only problem. That's one of the problems. Now, you can make it the only one if you'd like, but it's not the only one. But that's a fact. That's a fact. They couldn't play basketball in the NBA. Well, their grandfathers couldn't walk on the sidewalk, or they were slaves. So each generation is trying to do better for the next generation. That's what
Not anymore. Nope.
Rose could see.
Now it's
by wanting her
excuses
son to
and
get
blame.
an education. What Troy couldn't see, for him, his son doing better was him getting his son a job at the sanitation department. For his wife, the son doing better was getting a good education and going to college. So each generation, regardless of race, each generation, Polish, African American, whatever, is usually trying to help the next generation do better.
You said was. You mean, is it better now? An African American doesn't face these obstacles?
We're sitting in the Four Seasons talking about a movie.
Uh-huh.
We wouldn't be doing this in 1957 unless my name was Poitier. There was only one person then. But yeah, so things are better, no question.
Because when you read, for instance, Obama's Audacity of Hope, he highlights
Obama
this
is
issue.
one of the
He
biggest
said, "I
race baiters
understand,
in fucking
Black
history."
American anger that he's not giving the same opportunities. Because if they were giving the opportunities, they would achieve much more.
Mm.
Do you agree with him?
I agree he has the right to say that. One might use the word anger. Someone might use the word opportunity. You know, what are you going to do with it is the point. We all have reasons, or we might feel righteous reasons to be angry. But the point is, what are you going to do about it?
Today they burn shit down.
Go watch the movie. That's one of the things I've done.
Go steal a large screen TV.
It's true. You have done a lot to explain and tell us and enlighten us about the African American experience in many of your movies. And that's what August Wilson was doing. But when you look back at the movies we've been seeing in Hollywood, I don't recall seeing Fences movie or a movie that brought me into an intimate closeness to an African American.
August Wilson is one of the greatest writers in American history. In the theater, there's Arthur Miller, Tennessee Williams, August Wilson, Edward Albee, Eugene O'Neill, Neil Simon. He's one of the all-time great masters in the history of American theater. So he touches on areas, and he touches on things that are universal. We were doing a Q&A the other day. We had a screening, and someone asked. They said, "I didn't know Troy was Polish," or whatever, however he said it. So the themes are universal. The universal stems from the specific. This is specifically an African American family, but betrayal and frustration and going outside the marriage, adultery, and all those themes are universal themes.
They are indeed universal, but he universalizes them. Because, I mean, he is someone who was inspired by Malcolm X, who I think you know him.
He keeps pushing that racist narrative.
You know
I thought you meant Troy. Really? Yeah, maybe you know something I don't know.
No, I don't
He's got a lot of Malcolm X in him. But he's an equal opportunity hater. He doesn't like anybody. You black, white, Jackie Robinson, oh, he ain't nobody. Hank Aaron, nothing. He doesn't like anybody.
Yeah, and that's interesting that you reach that point. And then maybe this is the self-destructiveness that when you're not given the opportunity, you become bitter.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, you make me excuses.
Now again, when
back in the day, I could see it. Now,
do you
you're
think
just
those
lazy.
stereotypes, and this is actually Obama pointed out, the stereotypes that
Will you
have
stop
been,
mentioning Obama?
presented about African.
Obama.
The victims of the Democratic playing card deck. This group makes up the core of the voting element as far as the Democratic Party goes, and thus helps the most to promote the leftist cause. These are the people who think they've been wrong or disadvantaged, or have been told that they've been wronged or disadvantaged. They're also being told that the opposing parties, Republicans and conservatives, are out to wrong them and disadvantage them even further. These are the things commonly referred to as playing the race/age/gender/class card. This is used very often by liberals, so get ready to hear a lot of it.
Now you know how
It
CRT
works,
started.
it is effective, and this
Actually, it
second
was
group of people, the victims,
Karl
falls
Marx
for it very easily.
in
As a
communism.
result, they become slaves of the liberal mindset. Look no further than how the Democrats try to scare African Americans into believing that Republicans are holding them down, how the Democrats try to scare middle-class Americans into thinking Republicans are hurting the middle class, and how the Democrats try to scare women into thinking Republicans are against their rights. Democrats also frequently try to scare senior citizens into thinking Republicans want to destroy Social Security. Look at the key words mentioned in these accusations: against, holding down, hurting, destroying. In essence, it is fear-mongering targeted at certain groups of people in society, and it works.
The dumb ones.
These Democrats and leftists attempt to spin the issues into backing up this fear-mongering, and people listen to it. And as a result, this entire second group is formed the victims of the Democratic playing card deck. These people often do not know much about the issues, especially as far as fact and reality goes. What they think they know, however, is that Republicans and conservatives are completely against them and trying to hold them down, or their issue, in general. They believe the way they do, because of the total spin and fear-mongering they hear from Democratic and liberal leaders. They then go out and vote for these said Democrats, and become strong leftists, mostly out of fear and loathing of the other side values instilled into them. Furthermore, they become very likely to start calling conservatives bigots and racists, because of the lies that the liberal left has drilled into their heads.
Americans in the movies have affected the society's treatment of African Americans.
I'm sure, yeah.
And do you feel now things have changed?
Things have been changing. It didn't start this week.
Mhm.
I've been in this business 40 years. In the 40 years, things have changed a lot. Things are continually changing for the better.
And I want you to think to yourself, how many times in all the movies he's made have you ever said, Denzel Washington, what a great black actor? I bet you can't think of one fucking time. You may have said, Denzel Washington, what a great actor. That's racism in the 21st century. I'm going to treat you just like everyone else. You racist bastard. And that's the problem. There are racists out there, but they're as ignorant as the motherfuckers making excuses. Well, slavery. When were you ever a fucking slave? Yes, I think every slave owner should have to pay reparations to whoever they held as slaves. I do. I really do. Good luck with that one, dumb fuck.
But when you look now at what's going on outside in the political sphere, and you see the emergence of white supremacists and racists.
Where? Who the fuck are these people talking about? Do you know who the real racists are? If I get told that I'm a racist one more time by some lily white fucking liberal wearing a mask, I might actually flip out and burn something myself.
You see the emergence. It didn't emerge this year.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is we are regressing in some way.
Right.
Those guys, we thought we eliminated them,
Well, you can't
and suddenly they are
you
back.
understand this. You can't legislate love. You heard what I just
Amen.
said? You can't legislate love. You can change laws, but you can't legislate people into loving you. It takes time, and it depends upon what's going on in their home. You can change the law, but if you go home and teach your son how to hate every day, doesn't matter what law has been changed.
I did teach my son to hate
Until you
stupid.
teach your son how to love, then the law is not going to change the way your son feels. That's exactly what happens in our film. Troy is miseducating Corey. He's telling him what he's not going to be able to do and how the white man is going to hold his son. Now, all those things, which aren't even necessarily true. Maybe they were more true, or maybe that's the way he felt about it in his time. But you know, it's up to the adult. It's up to the Troy. It's up to you. It's up to me to change the message.
All right, he's a perfect example.
Can I ask another question?
Great acting.
No, I don't have any money.
talented.
Go ahead. One more. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what is Hollywood's role in changing that, in ameliorating?
You know,
it?
you say Hollywood. There's no place called Hollywood.
You are part of Hollywood.
I'm
You're
a part of the
system
human
now.
race. I'm not a part of any system. I'm a human being.
Perfect. This is why I like Denzel Washington. I think he's a great actor. I think he's probably smarter than his age. Of course, I don't know how old he is. He could be up there. I don't know.
I want to just ask you, though, about the issue of race relations, because the film touches upon that. Right now, under President Obama, over the last 8 years, in your mind, have race relations improved under his leadership?
Race relationships have to do with race relationships. You're white or whatever you are. I'm black or whatever I am. We're standing here talking now.
What does race have to do with your relationship with other people? I mean, if I meet a fucking idiot, or if I meet someone who's intelligent and I like their company, I hang out with them. If I meet a fucking idiot, don't like their company, and literally want to punch him in the face every time I see him, I don't care what the color is, I just don't like fucking idiots. I'd hang out with him, he seems pretty intelligent.
That's how we get things done. You can't legislate love. The President of the United States can't legislate us into liking each other. We have to step forward and ask questions about each other and engage. There's no law that says, oh, because I'm president, you all got to get along now. So it's up to us.
And there's been so many protests in America, especially during the election. Black Lives Matter movement, for example, and those issues have...
Black Lives Matter, BLM, you mean buy large mansions.
Has that movement in particular, the Black Lives Matter movement, helped race relations or not in America?
Well, listen, we live in America, and in America we have the freedom to express ourselves. We shouldn't take that for granted. So whatever the movements are, whether you agree with them or don't, they have the right to express themselves. So that's...
They do not have the right to burn shit down. And by the way, in all 50 states, just so you citizens know, the use, in cases of arson, the use of deadly force is authorized. You can defend your property if they're trying to burn it down with deadly force.
One of the great things about being in this country, that you do have the right to protest.
Burning shit down is not protesting. Stealing a large screen TV is not protesting.
The whole thing, especially the president and Democrats now are talking about income inequality. And that's basically what,
great
actor,
actor,
about the richest 85 people on the planet.
Smart,
right?
intelligent,
income inequality.
Talking to
Do you
a
think
race
that's looking at what's happening in the news now? Is that a good idea?
It's a great idea. It is the greatest idea. We have a much more vibrant society when we don't have such a vast chasm between the haves and the have-nots. We need that middle ground that we call the middle class, the people who buy everything, people who use the products that the rich are creating, if they're creating anything other than wealth, right? So it's what's happening with the Chinese economy right now. They're changing their whole outlook because they need consumers. And without a middle class, you're not going to have consumers. You're not going to have it at the level that we normally would have it.
So can I go back to, because I thought what you said was fascinating, because you called it bull when you said people can't,
Here he goes with the race baiting. He's got it, race bait here.
Pull themselves up. Do you think that race plays a part in wealth distribution, or either a mindset that you can't or
Today?
cannot? Yeah.
No.
You don't?
No, I don't. You and I, we're proof. Why would race have anything to do with it? Put your mind to what you want to do and go for that.
Again, a great actor, not a great black actor, just a great actor. That's what I keep telling you people. Racism in the 21st century. What do you mean you're going to treat me like everyone else? I'm black. Yes, so do I. Get off the fucking plantation, people. Divorce yourself from the government. Men, and this goes everyone, because we have, with the exception of like Asian Americans, they're doing the best because guess what? They're not married to the fucking government. Every other group are married to the government and they're fucking up their communities. The blacks top the list because 70% of homes, there's no father. I didn't know Larry Elder was running for president. I like his message as far as trying to get the government out of people's, lives and trying to build back the family, but it ain't going to happen because people have gotten so used to the government tit that they're not going to give it up. They're not going to elect him. He's asking them to take responsibility for themselves. What is he, fucking nuts?
It's kind of like religion to me. It's a good excuse for not getting there.
Exactly.
I said, and it's probably get me in trouble, but I said to some of my colleagues recently, so I know that it's an issue, but it seems like every single day on television I'm talking about race, and it's because of the news cycles in the news.
Because it's money.
I get so tired of talking about it. I want to just go, this is over, can we move on?
And if you talk about it, it exists.
Right.
It's not like it exists and we refuse to talk about it, but making it a bigger issue than it needs to be is the problem we have.
So I understand you recently had a birthday. You're 27?
No. You got that on 37.
37.
Yeah.
We had a little surprise for you. Can we get it? There you go.
Oh, no. That's more like it.
There you go. Happy birthday, sir.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you for joining us here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here.
Appreciate
Great
you.
actor, very intelligent man, him and Denzel. And believe it or not, was it Ice Cube? It said basically the same thing.
Do you think that race plays a part in wealth distribution, or either a mindset that you can't
Today?
or cannot? Yeah.
No.
You don't?
No, I don't. You and I, we're proof. Why would race have anything to do with it? Put your mind to what you want to do and go for that. It's kind of like religion to me. It's a good excuse for not getting there.
I know that it's an issue. It seems like every single day on television I'm talking about race, and it's because of the news cycles.
That's because that's what's kept you on TV.
Talking about it, I want to just go.
You're
this
a
is over.
race-baiting
Can
prick.
we move on?
And if you talk about it, it exists. It's not like it exists and we refuse to talk about it, but making it a bigger issue than it needs to be is the problem we have.
Oh, yeah. News.
Okay, we've got major breaking news. A major loss in court for Donald Trump in the civil suit brought by the New York Attorney General Tish James. A New York state judge has just ruled that Donald Trump committed fraud by exaggerating the value of his assets in financial statements. This was a major plank of Tish James's case against Donald Trump. That case is set to go to trial on Monday. Donald Trump's attorneys had also asked to throw out the case, and the judge denied that request. The Attorney General James's lawsuit seeks $250 million in fines and to bar the Trump family from doing business. Now, I just want to tell you, this has just come out, and we're working our way through it. And one of the people who's also working her way through it is the brilliant New York Times investigative reporter, Suzanne Craig. She was in the courtroom for these arguments. She's someone upon whom we have relied for a very long time. There's nobody who knows more about this than Suzanne. I don't know whether you've gotten through it yet, Suzanne, but I appreciate you being on with me now to make sense of it. Former United States Attorney Glenn Kirshner is also with us on this breaking news. Suzanne, let me just start with
calling
you.
Al Sharpton reporting
is like calling gas testimony that we've heard in years gone by, including from Michael Cohen, is that this was standard procedure for the Trump Corporation. They did things like this. They inflated their assets.
Of course, we have
in
the
certain
entire
places.
BLM organization.
They reduced the value
and
of those assets.
My favorite is when Antifa members,
necessary to do other things.
the whitest
they were
group I have ever fucking
the way
seen,
they treated their assets. Tell me what you make of this ruling. I've tried to give the best explanation we non-legal people can
going outside and letting
I know
the
you
sun
know more
touch
about
your
this
skin
than most.
So you don't look like
you're being kind
flour.
there. I mean, I think the allegation is pretty stark that Donald Trump there would be something that would, I think, reasonable minds could agree would be worth $10 million, and he may say it's worth $100 million. And this happened over and over and over. And these statements were submitted
investigative
to banks,
reporter,
to insurance companies in order to secure
Aren't they
loans,
the
sometimes
same ones
favorable terms, and also to secure insurance policies, things like that. So that's kind of in essence. And the Attorney General had brought a civil suit, a quite large one. If it goes against him, it could cost him to the tune of $250 million. And I have to tell you, I'm still working through today's ruling. It came down. This is all just right before it's supposed to go to trial on Monday. And there were just some last minute motions for summary judgment. And that just means that each side had asked for a ruling from the bench prior to it going to trial.
It's a civil
and I have
case.
to tell you, I looked at this and I did a double take. It is a huge loss for Donald Trump and a huge win for the Attorney General. And what the judge has found is that Donald Trump, on this main count that I'm talking about the inflation of assets, that in fact he's been found liable for that. They've determined that he did in fact overvalue his assets again and again and again.
To whom?
And they've not only done that, the judge has canceled his call for the cancellation of all of the defendant's business certificates in New York. And then on a third one, they're fining a number of the lawyers $7,500 each. This will still potentially move to trial on Monday. There's also another legal battle in this going on, which is that Donald Trump has sued both the judge and the Attorney General. I think he was anticipating this and moved ahead of a hearing last week and actually sued the judge, and the appellate court will come down potentially, we think, on Thursday and weigh in with something that could move the trial and could affect this again. But in the short term today, this is a huge, huge blow for the Trump organization.
I know there's a lot in there, and it's all really big. So, there, little bits of it, little sentences in here would on their own be headline news, including the judge has ordered the cancellation of all of Donald Trump's business certificates?
Right, that was one of the things that was ordered today, and the Attorney General in their lawsuit that was brought. This has now been 4 years in the making.
I have never
it's been going
seen
through the civil courts. The essence of what they're trying to do, just in plain terms, is
not
they're
even
trying
Richard
to
Nixon
to run Donald Trump's businesses out of the state of New York.
Wow.
Donald Trump, since this has started, has moved a lot of his banking and his operations out of New York. And we still don't know in terms of, there's still 5 other counts on this suit that will go forward to trial if it's not moved. We're going to learn about that again later this week.
Okay,
so but those will still move, and also the fine hasn't been determined yet. I mean, that's sort of the number that they're looking for. These are some of the things that will be
before he became
I think
president?
heard at trial, and it will be a bench trial in front of a civil judge.
Holy shit. And I wasn't sure if people actually knew or believed me. I used to be a professional wrestler. thing they haven't tried to do to him yet is assassinate him. But you'll see the loony left. But if I bring up Sniffy Joe's impeachment inquiry, which is just an inquiry at this point, they haven't even issued a subpoena yet. Oh my God, what evidence? And I'm posting the evidence. And what I get is the laughing face emoji. You can hear my mother. Take a break just for a second. Nope, no response. But well, I find it telling that the only people that don't think this is bullshit are Soros-backed DAs and fucking idiots who can find shit in the Constitution that ain't there. Trans rights. I'm trying to figure out where the special trans rights section is in the Constitution. I haven't found it yet, but hey. Women's rights. We all have the same rights. They're in there. There's no special... I did not find a vagina clause in the Constitution. LGBTQ rights. Again, same rights. I don't see any special I gobble cock rights or lick the vag rights in the Constitution. I can't find them. Point them out that you don't have. But I'm over on Rumble now, but I need at least 5 followers to go live over there. I've been posting stuff over there constantly, just to try to build, build content. Lately, I've been using it just to fuck with the loony left. The turd challenge, you're in a cult if. And I think I might have to do like a long ass video on the timeline of Sniffy Joe's corruption, because it goes all the way back to, starts in 2013. That's 10 years. It talks about all the shit that Sniffy Joe didn't know about his son's business dealings, but he was with him. I don't know how that works. And it received phone calls about business from his son. Don't know how that works either.
Are you fucking getting it yet?
I'll have to look him up. Louis Rossman. Get my network open. I'm looking. Oh, you're following me already. I'll get the link. It's much easier that way. I want to go over there and go live. I'm trying to figure out a way where we can all go into like a video conference mode and still broadcast it live to like whatever. Me, you, Jim, whoever else. Maybe we get a loony leftist in there to eviscerate. I think I posted some stuff on racism over there today too. Oh, there you go. Finally in the ring. Looking for I have my, yeah, I'm sure you guys are really interested in me playing, but this I found funny because they keep saying, I'm pro-choice. I don't know if I've played this before or not. But this is why the government should not protect you. I don't know if you were in the video then when I was telling you that's not their job. When they're trying to protect you, that's when you end up with an experimental hokey pokey. We're doing it to protect you. We banned this gun part to protect you. That's not their job. It's the Constitution. That's it. I might be a little too raw for Rumble. But Rumble's a conservative, a really conservative site. I'm trying to get loony leftists to come in and like fuck with me, and they won't come over here or go over there because they'll get fucked with by everyone else. And is anybody else tired of hearing the Russian? Still, to this day, I can still hear about it. Tired of it. Russia's boy. He's Russia's boy. Yeah, he's Russia's boy. Are you fucking stupid? He's Russia's boy. So you're saying there's a chance. What? I love triggering the loony left with this stuff. Oh, wait a minute. Turn this back up to get the full effect. Tired of hearing it. If he was Russia's boy, why did Russia wait to invade Ukraine until their Alzheimer patient was in office? So,
This was a Democratic fundraising rally at a hotel. And outside, when all of them were coming out, there was a kid there with a bunch of puppies, and he was trying to sell them, and he was saying, come, buy a Democrat puppy, buy a Democrat puppy. 2 weeks later, the Republicans held a fundraiser in the same hall. And there was the same kid with the same puppies. When they were coming out, he was saying, buy a Republican puppy. Well, one of the press, a newspaper man who'd seen him 2 weeks before, said, hey, kid, wait a minute. 2 weeks ago, you were trying to sell these puppies as Democrats. What are you doing here now trying to sell them as Republicans? The kid says, now they got their eyes open.
I'm sorry, but he was one of the best presidents we had in the 20th century. Oh, yeah. Remember when I said they loved Trump before he became president?
Gentlemen.
Watch your head. Very tall. Nice to see you. How's it going? Okay. How's it going? That's great.
Third one is the
right here.
Sir. Thank you very much. None of us need that much hugging.
Okay.
So let me ask you. Let me start with the tough question. Is Mika Brzezinski not just as beautiful today as the first time you called into our show in 2007 and embarrassed her?
I did embarrass her. I said she was very beautiful, and I watched the show because of her beauty, not because of any politics or anything. And
is that still the case?
Yeah, she's gotten more beautiful.
Ridiculous.
Wow.
How does that happen,
Power.
Donald? Is
Power.
it her power?
The show has become so successful that she's become very powerful. You like that one too, Jill.
You gotta do.
Great.
Go check the hair. Come on.
Get over here.
Go on.
Get over.
Oh.
First time seen on TV.
Before he was president.
Just right. Oh, right.
Hairspray. But it is mine,
There.
isn't it?
It's there.
Is it? Does it feel good?
Yeah.
I'm very uncharted. Look at that.
All right.
No, but is it there?
It's all there.
It's really. I don't know how it looks now because now the hairspray is perfect. It didn't move. How about the hairspray? I'm not supposed to use hairspray because hairspray destroys the ozone. So I'm sitting in my apartment with hairspray and saying, "Oh, the ozone." I mean, give me a break. Al Gore, take away his Nobel Prize. It's, you know.
Your hair.
There we go.
Hey everybody, how's it going? I hope you're having a lovely day. So today I'm going to be discussing Donald Trump being indicted in New York for supposedly paying hush money to a star. This is not something that I'm exactly excited to discuss, but this is something that has been coming up nonstop as a result of my dealings with New York City and New York State, which I've been making public over the past several years. I've had many issues dealing with the city and the state where I have, in my opinion, been able to prove that they are thoroughly incompetent and horrible at their job at every single level. And many people have been saying, since you've had this bad experience, what do you think of what Trump is going through? So from what I understand, it looks like there's about approximately 34 counts, including falsifying business records, as well as some of the Stormy Daniels stuff, where they're claiming that he paid hush money to a porn star. Now, paying hush money to a porn star out of your pocket is one thing, but using campaign finance funds in order to pay money to your attorney and then telling your attorney to turn around and give that money to the porn star so that she doesn't talk, when you're claiming that this was a legal expense for the campaign as a result of it going through your attorney, that's kind of, that's kind of in the world of campaign finance issues. And that's one of the things that somebody like me would get in trouble for. I tried to get a ballot initiative done in Massachusetts in the year of 2021, and because I'm new to all of this, I was very close to making some serious mistakes. And had I made those mistakes, had I moved forward, I actually would have been committing a campaign finance violation for which I personally would have been held accountable and responsible for. And that's the way it is. If I make a mistake, even if I'm not intending to make a mistake, even if I'm not trying to use my attorney as a means to pay off a porn star, even if I don't intend to make that mistake, I am still going to be held accountable and responsible because I did something wrong. And it's my personal belief that whether you are a Democrat or Republican, whether you are a pleb wagey or the CEO of Walmart, whether you are a pleb MacBook repairman or a governor, senator, congressman, or president of the United States, that if you break the law and you intend to break the law, that you should be held accountable and responsible for your actions. If you're not held accountable or responsible, everything kind of breaks down. Now, what this really comes down to is, did he do what they are accusing him of? And this is the question that keeps coming up a lot in my comments, which is, that how can you possibly believe that he actually did something wrong? How can you believe that they're being honest with it when they've kind of disliked him politically from the get-go? And also, more importantly, because, Lewis, as you've stated, New York City and state are completely incompetent. They are completely corrupt. They get everything wrong. Look, they placed a lien and a warrant on your business, and they sent the information about it to Maine, and they refused to take it off your business until you spent 14 hours on the phone with them. Well, point taken, 100%. However, this is where I will then turn it around. Let's say that this is actually true. Let's say that Donald Trump has done nothing illegal, nothing wrong. All of these transactions were 100% above board, prim and proper, and that New York City or New York State is fabricating evidence or making things up or something like that. Given the fact that New York State and New York City are so dumb, are so above and beyond incompetent and ridiculous and bad at their job, it should be very easy for him to make the case that they are screwing him and railroading him without use of politically charged rhetoric. So a lot of what you've been hearing is that this is a politically charged prosecution because they don't like him. This is so that he won't be able to get reelected and all this other stuff. And he is using that to kind of make people mad and angry and not believe the evidence that is being presented. I don't actually think that you even need to do that, because when I talk about New York State or New York City, I tend to do so in a very negative light because of my own personal biases, and also because I believe that the city and the state are run by complete morons and fools that I have absolutely zero respect for. Let me just put that out there. That's my bias. I have no respect for the people that run New York City. I have no respect for the people who run New York State. I was willing to uproot my life, spend over $50,000 moving across the country so that I could start fresh, just so that I never have to step foot in that fucking hole again. That is my bias. That being said, it is because they are that stupid that it should actually be very easy for him to stop using all this politically charged rhetoric and simply say, I'm innocent, here's why. In my videos, I tend to say what I say about New York City, but then I also present my evidence clear as day, and that usually is enough to get the job done. So when it came to the case of my tax issue, I actually save everything right here. Because I am an OCD business owner, I have a binder for each of my businesses, and in those binders are every single one of my returns with a certified mail mailing receipt that demonstrates that the state received and signed for my return. I then have a copy of the check that they cashed and the little stamp that they have when they stamp the check, so that I can demonstrate that the amount of money they deposited was for my tax return, and the memo matches the number that was on my return. So they cannot say that they didn't get it. When they say I didn't pay my taxes, I have all of the evidence to demonstrate that not only did I pay it, but you took payment for it and you accepted it already, so you can't say that you did not receive it. If I, over here, sitting here as, again, a normal pleb with a six-figure net worth, is able to demonstrate in real time that they are complete morons and literally live stream my phone calls to you with minor editing for this, just so that you don't hear my social security number, then surely somebody with a $1 billion net worth with 4 more zeros than I should be able to do this very, very easily. Again, when I am calling the city, and I'm doing that in all these phone calls over here and these videos where I'm calling them for 40 minutes and all that, I'm not doing that with a lawyer. I'm not doing that with my CPA. I'm not doing that with the help of counsel. I'm doing that as a man in a $5 blue t-shirt sitting next to his cat in a ripped-up lounge chair. If I can prove that the city and state of New York are completely full of garbage from a ripped-up lounge chair without the help of professional counsel, then surely a man with 4 more figures on his net worth should be able to make that case very easily if he actually has a case to make. And as I've gone over it many times, it really does not take a lot of effort to do this. I'll just put on my headphone so that we could go over this. When it comes to, the lien that they had, I got the person to apologize right on the phone because they were sending my stuff to the wrong address.
So the mailing address that we have on file is P.O. Box 842, Berwick, Maine. Is that the correct address?
No, I've never lived in Maine. I've been to Maine once in my life.
What? Oh, I apologize.
Looking in the account at a glance, this collection case ID that you gave me doesn't match your account at all, and in fact, we're showing that you have no balance.
As you can see, it's actually incredibly simple to demonstrate after just providing some basic evidence that they are completely wrong. And I'm confident enough in that I will literally post the entire phone call recording to YouTube along with the entire transcript. When it comes to me just trying to ask how to obey a law that I was fined on, this is what I hear.
Picked it up, and they won't answer my phone calls or text messages or emails.
does that have to get entered into the Leeds Online database, or how does that work?
Whoa. I don't need to use politically charged rhetoric. I don't need to say
dealing with hard-hitting themes, including Hello, my name's Sarah J. I live near Harper Avenue in Clinton Township. I come here today to talk about a sensitive and controversial subject. My son recently brought home his list of classes to choose from for next year at L'Anse Creuse High School. I noticed there was a regular literature class and also an African American literature class. Why is that?
To explain critical race theory, it helps to begin with a brief history of Marxism. Originally, the Marxist left built its political program on the theory of class conflict. Karl Marx believed that the primary characteristic of industrial societies was the imbalance of power between capitalists and workers. The solution to that imbalance, according to Marx, was revolution. The workers would eventually gain consciousness of their plight, seize the means of production, overthrow the capitalist class, and usher in a new socialist society. It failed, over and over and over. But rather than abandon their political project, Marxist scholars in the West simply adapted their revolutionary theory to the social and racial unrest of the 1960s. Abandoning Marx's economic dialectic of capitalists and workers, they substituted race for class and sought to create a revolutionary coalition of the dispossessed based on racial, ethnic, or more recently, gender categories. Critical race theory is an academic discipline, formulated in the 1990s and built on the intellectual framework of identity-based Marxism. Relegated for many years to universities and obscure academic journals, it has increasingly become the default ideology in our public institutions over the past decade. It has been injected into government agencies, public school systems, teacher training programs, and corporate human resources departments in the form of diversity training programs, human resources modules, public policy frameworks, and school curricula. Basically, they're indoctrinating your kids to be good little communists.
I called the school and asked for the curriculum and textbook for the African American literature class. The counselor was not prepared for the questions I asked, and that's okay. He later emailed me the description and flyer for this class. I've done my research on this, and in the flyer, which I made a copy for you, the teacher mentioned and had a few pictures of books that correlate and may be used in this class. There are four books on her list that have been banned in many, many schools because of their content. Their content contains strong, inappropriate sexual content, police brutality of white cops against black individuals, white privilege, racism against black people from white people, gun violence, and strong political influence. These books have also been described as highly political adult novels dealing with hard-hitting themes, including BLM. So my question is, why is this being taught in our school? This sounds like a sneaky way of sneaking in critical race theory into our school. Yes, I understand this class is not mandatory to take, and anyone can take it. There are so many wonderful African American authors that do not touch on such sensitive and controversial subjects. So why can't their books just be read and talked about in regular literature class, along with all the other authors of different colors? Now what you're doing is separating blacks and all other races by having one African American class and one regular literature class. Why not have a separate literature class for every race then? Why just one? Our school has a wonderful array of different colored students, so why have a class for one specific color? You are dividing our kids even more than they already are, and that's so sad and disgusting to me. Unfortunately, they see enough of this racial divide on TV and on the internet, so why do they have to see it in their school now? I have researched other local districts around here, and none of them have an African American or any other specific color or nationality classes available besides language classes. Why us? Why do you think this class is necessary? The counselor said that this class had to be approved by the board, so I know you all know about this class. I raised my son to judge people on their character, not their color, but apparently you all don't think the same thing. According to the counselor, this class is brand new, and I think you all should think real hard about if this class was a good idea. All in all, I think this class should be taken out of our schools completely, and if you want to talk about African American authors and all other authors of different colors with books that are non-controversial and non-one-sided, then add them to the regular literature class instead of having two different literature classes for different colors of skin. I by far am not the only parent that thinks I by far am not the only parent that thinks this way, and this will not be the last time you hear from us unless you discontinue this class immediately. I know I may be judged and called names by speaking on this, and I'm okay with that, because there's only one true judge that matters to me, and that's God. Thank you.
Yeah, I can.
By saying that
they're too busy trying to make your kids into good little communists. Again, I ask the question, what does it take to shoot someone in the fucking head in the United States?
Make sure I stay on topic.
The founding fathers did it over taxes. They're grooming and chemically castrating your kids. What does it fucking take?
To the hospital. When I got there, I learned that Mike, while out on patrol, saw a car blow a red light and he stopped it. Turns out the driver had a suspended driver's license and a couple minor warrants. Considering this person's history, going to jail for this type of thing was really not a big issue. It wouldn't have been a life-changing event. However, he'd been conditioned to hate police. Even though Mike was a person heavily involved in the community, he and part of the kids' programs, he was a mild-mannered, likable guy. The person decided to stab him in the throat that night. Mike died from his injuries. A few days later, I stood near his casket and saw his 20-something-year-old sobbing wife and his kids, who were just babies at the time, on the floor in front of their father's casket. Since that time, I've stood in front of several other caskets of police officers who died in the line of duty. All of them gave their lives serving others. So when I heard the affiliations and statement made by your recent hire, I was left in some disbelief. First, let me make sure that teachers have the right to have strong police to express them. I've said in social media posts that I don't care if a teacher travels the country attending Trump rallies or has Biden wallpaper in their home or has any other adamant political beliefs. That's their right. Our current state rep is currently in office, was a former teacher in Grosedale schools, and if she decides to return when she's done in Lansing, I would have zero issue with it. It's not about one political side or the other. But there are certain expectations for some professions. If a police officer was a member of the Ku Klux Klan, I think we can all agree that person has no business being a police officer, whether they posted about it before they were hired or not. Teachers also have expectations of whom they affiliate with and their statements. Your new hire proudly proclaimed that she is an Antifa
If I were
super soldier.
a member of the Ku Klux
Antifa
Klan, I could not serve
is an
in the
organization
military.
that travels the country initiating violence.
But they're hiring
repeatedly
motherfuckers
focus their
from
violence on police
BLM
officers,
and
and they have
Antifa
attempted
as
to injure or
teachers.
kill them on many occasions.
Think about that.
This group's actions have been labeled as domestic terrorism under President Obama, President Trump, and 6 members of the group were arrested on domestic terrorism, one of them being local, were arrested on domestic terrorism charges for, amongst other things, firebombing a police car a month ago. Actions like this are not fringe of the organization. Instigating violence and intimidation are their main tactics. This teacher not only joined this group, she made public social media posts showing that her beliefs align with the group's. I'll paraphrase the post that I found most troubling because your teacher used mild vulgarity, but in response to someone's post on why the police officers' lives matter, she posted they don't, and that those who believe they do are bootlickers, is how she referred to it. And I have a copy of the post here if you'd like to see it. I assume you've seen it, but I have copies if the board would like it. I'd like to ask the board this. What if she said that the lives of school administrators don't matter? And if you think
CRT came about because if the racist history of America were actually taught how it happened,
if you do, you're a bootlegger.
Democrats come off looking like
Would she still be
world-class
a player?
assholes.
I would hope not. The lives of police officers are no less important, and joining a group that is known for domestic terrorism, targeting police officers with violence, should immediately exclude a person from employment in certain jobs, a teacher being one of them. Yet when I contacted the superintendent with these issues, she responded that the teachers' evaluations are good, so she's going to remain in the schools. I have a real problem with that. This teacher is probationary. The reason we have probationary status is so we can find out if an individual is capable of performing a job, or in case we learn something that we should have excluded them from hiring in the first place. I would say that her affiliations and statements have excluded her from hire. Your own policy and state law allows the board to terminate the employment of a probationary employee at any time, yet despite learning all this, you've kept her in our schools. I hope that one day she realizes just how ignorant it is to lump people together into groups so they can be hated. But for now, I expect this
Wouldn't
body to
that
do
be
what any
called
reasonable body would do.
racism?
Remove her from our schools. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Kevin.
Which brings me to the next video of this former detective mom who really just...
It's about keeping secrets from the parents. Seen it.
A gente usa o Monday para tudo, para gerir todos os nossos leads e fazer ali todo o controle de produtividade do time.
Senator Chris Trickle, if you may come up, please.
Yes, they're letting boys go into the bathroom with your daughters now.
You state your name, sir, and your address.
Before my time starts, I want to just address the rules that you guys put forward. For instance, you said you can't criticize employees or anything like that. The Supreme Court ruled back in 1983 that any government public forum, which this is an official forum, anybody can say whatever they want, and that includes, and they specifically said this in the case, criticizing school district employees and the board.
And government officials really need to be criticized.
Sir?
A lot.
All right, that's how it goes. So my name's Chris Trickle. I live at 2019 Fairview Avenue. First, I want to talk about policy 2520 about the curriculum. I'm hoping it's just some oversight, but in there, according to Idaho law 33-512, one half of the curriculum committee has to be made up by parents, not a quarter. So you guys need to go back and check that. That's Idaho law. And then on top of that as well, you're striking out the part that says that you're not legally responsible for providing the materials and stuff like that. I like to point out also 33-512, section 3, you are legally to provide materials to the school children and the school boards. So why you guys are striking that out, I don't know, but you are legally responsible for it. It's Idaho statute. Now, to get on to the exciting part of 3280, I'd like to discuss, last time I came here as a parent, but I don't get afforded that right because people like to attack me and use my official position instead. So I'm here on my official position. You, under Idaho law, are required to maintain the morals and health of all the students. How can you do that when, like that little girl came up here and said, and you allow a male to use a female bathroom? You're going to put all of their moral health and safety at risk. And like I told you before, you will face litigation. You called that a threat. I'm telling you, that is what will happen. It's already happened in several states, and there's already been rulings on it. So, before you waste taxpayer money, before you put a kid in harm's way, you better throw this policy out and not even consider. I've got the floor. Ms. Pacino, will you please listen to me?
Sir.
Yes,
you
claim
the
you allow
loony
people
left
to follow the rules,
like
but
to
you break the
ignore.
rules left and right. Last month, you allowed two people.
You're saying something they don't like.
You do not get to demand to follow the rules. Break them yourself.
We will recess for 15 minutes.
There you go.
I'm sorry. We have asked, you absolutely know the protocol.
You're not following protocol yourself.
Madam Chair, I move to adjourn.
I could kind of see
Okay,
Grumpy
I have a
doing
motion
this.
to adjourn. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, we have a second.
Real
All those
fast,
in
I'm going to
favor,
quote
please
section
say aye.
74201. The people of the state of Idaho and creating the instruments
Yes,
of
I
their
will
government
ask
that
the-
serve them do not yield the sovereignty
Sir?
to the agencies so
I'm
created.
call vote.
This is who you listen
Okay,
to.
can you turn him off? Okay. So I would like to call vote.
can't
All those in
vote for
favor,
that
please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, meeting has been adjourned. Meeting is adjourned.
You see, that's democracy at work for the Democrats. Guarantee you, every last one on that school board is a loony leftist. Or what, they wouldn't be letting boys in girls' bathrooms. We know that. I'll be putting this one up on you.
You should be held accountable.
So Idaho. So if you think it's just happening in California, think again, folks. One more, I think. Jester.
So, with respect to that, I took my son, 5 years old, off of life support.
I like this
He
guy.
died from
His ingenuity.
I am Caesar, Julius Caesar of Rome, the emperor. I am also a female. Does anybody here believe that?
Well, give me a minute. I have
Senator
it for you.
Chris Treacle, if you may come up, please.
This video, I've saved it. It's in my. Hold on. I have to.
You state your name, sir, and your address.
Before my time starts, I want to just address the rules that you guys put forward. For instance, you said you can't criticize employees or anything like that. The Supreme Court ruled back in 1983 that any government public forum, which this is an official forum, anybody can say whatever they want, and that includes, and they specifically said this in the case, criticizing school district employees and their board. So by telling them you can't, you're violating all these people's First Amendment rights.
Sir?
No,
Democrats don't care about rights.
So,
Except for made up shit, they.
2019 Fairview Avenue.
Like I've yet to find the scrape my uterus clause in the
Policy
Constitution.
2520 about the curriculum. I'm hoping it's just some oversight, but in there, according to Idaho law 33-512.
Let me see here.
one half of the curriculum committee has to be made up by parents, not a quarter. So you guys need to go back and check that. That's Idaho law.
But the next one I really like, the guy who got it creative.
So, with respect to that, I took my son, 5 years old, off of life support, who died from blood cancer. I am Caesar, Julius Caesar of Rome, the emperor. I am also a female. Does anybody here believe that? That I am Julius Caesar? Anybody believe that? No? Of course not. It's ridiculous. I'm not Caesar. I'm not a woman either. I'm here as a father who loves his children, who loves his country. And I'm here to talk about this duty of a school board and the Department of Education. Your duty is to act in the best interest of children. It is to teach truth, not lies, facts, not fiction, biology, not a social agenda.
Amen.
As taxpayers, we deserve to have our children taught what we pay for. And it's not anyone's social agenda, whether it be right or left. It's about the children. It's about the children. And that's what we all love. And these children that are born into our custody, we have a duty to protect them. And we have a duty to nurture them to their own self-actualization when they can declare whatever sexuality they want to be. And we will love them, no matter what.
Exactly, he is. He's spot on.
Doesn't matter. But engaging and facilitating gender confusion, gender dysphoria, is developmentally injurious to the mental and emotional capacities of children, especially elementary school students. So I'm here to call for the suspension of Murphy and the suspension of Principal Gallo for facilitating gender confusion and gender dysphoria in the McChristoff McAuliffe Elementary School. I'd also like you to resign your seat for facilitating it as well.
Simple, stop
And I want you all to know you're all going to be famous. Now, with respect to the audience, I love that love. I give that love back. You know what I love? I love my children. I love my country. I love life, liberty, and happiness for all. That's what I love, okay? And if we can't get on board with that, we ain't going to have a country. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Mr. Guglielmo, for your comments.
That guy was probably the most creative.
Evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the community. As most of you know, I've been coming to these meetings for quite a while. I brought a lot of concerns to this board, all of which I have seen fall by the wayside. I keep hearing from the administration how we pride ourselves on working with parents. We pride ourselves on working with the community. I'm not being worked with. I have brought numerous complaints, issues, and policy wrongdoing to this board and laid it at your feet. Nothing. Crickets. Why? You want to work with community? Work with community. I've offered, and many of the people in here have offered. We tried to meet in good faith and negotiate something and meet in the middle.
But they have to cater to the cult.
It's your way, right, Mr. Chairman? Because you run this meeting, right? You run this meeting. Isn't that what you said earlier? You did it that way because you run this meeting. That's right. I call bullshit. You work for me.
There you go.
You work for us.
Exactly. They're elected officials.
We run this meeting.
People need to start remembering that.
This has to stop. I can make it real simple for you. For all your committees and all your procedures and everything else. Look at the book. If it has a rating of adult or young adult, which we all know is 18 to 25, we've all heard it numerous times in here. If it has that rating, get rid of it. Get rid of it. Easy. You don't have to have a committee review it. It's already been reviewed. It's already been labeled. Adult. What is so hard about that to understand? Mr. Roberts, why can't you understand that? It's an adult book.
1 minute left.
Not for children, not for kids. I'm failing to see what the problem is here. Why are you so adamant about keeping these books in the schools? Why? I don't get it. Can any of you explain? I challenge each and every one of you, when you do oven by the board, to explain to me and all the members in this community.
It all goes
why
back
you
to
want these books in there.
CRT. They need to groom your kids to make
Because if
another
you don't do anything to get them out, you want them in
oppressed
there.
class.
You know you're in a cult
I don't
if.
want them in there, and I'm trying to
18.
do something.
Lost your shit over to Kill a Mockingbird and Huckleberry Finn, but are screaming about banning books with gay sex and masturbation in school libraries. Even though the books aren't banned, you can purchase and beat off to them at your
All you
leisure.
have to do.
We got enough
is
evidence
say
right
the
here to
word.
do it.
You have the authority to make it happen. You don't have to, like Katie said, you don't have to listen to the state, or the president, or the federal government, or anybody else, or the Michigan Association of School Boards. You govern.
Your time's up.
Well, what a surprise. Well, thanks for cutting it down from 5 minutes to 3 minutes, too. That's really working with the community, too, isn't it? Thanks, guys.
I'm here in Renk in South Sudan with UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency.
Parents are not happy with the Rockland Charter School Academy for having transgender discussions in a kindergarten class.
Now I sound like grumpy.
And these parents feel betrayed by the school district, that they were not notified.
Those discussions were earlier this summer during the last few days of the academic school year.
CBS 13's Sharon Merget joins us live from Rockland, where a school board meeting just wrapped up. Sharon.
Sam and Adrian, it was quite an emotional board meeting at Rockland Academy tonight, and it was standing room only with parents and teachers
I don't even
speaking
think it's
out tonight about a teacher who read books to her kindergartner class.
It's what's
and
in
also during that time, that kindergartner was going through a transition in front of her peers, and tonight that teacher spoke out.
And what I will share over and over again is how proud I was of my students.
An emotional Rockland Academy teacher addressing a packed house of parents, many furious about her decision to discuss the topic of gender identity inside her kindergarten class.
There is no
It was
gender
never my
identity.
intent to
There's
harm
mental
these
illness
students,
and
only
not
to
mental
support them
illness.
through a difficult situation.
The teacher defended
She's
her
obviously
actions to
mentally
read
ill
two
and shouldn't be
books
around
she says
kids.
were given to her by a transgender child going through a transition.
The kindergartners came home very confused
How the fuck
about
does a
whether or not you can
5-year-old
pick your gender, whether or not they really were a boy or a girl.
Parents say besides the books, the transgender student at some point during class also changed clothes and was revealed as her true gender. And many parents say they feel betrayed and blindsided.
I want her to hear from me as a parent what her gender identity means to her and to our family. Not from a book that may be controversial. My daughter went home crying, shaking, so afraid that she could turn into a boy.
The issue was not on the agenda, so parents spoke out during Monday night's public comment.
It's really about the parents
being informed and involved.
These people are
and,
helping.
You know,
matter of fact,
giving us the choice and the rights
pedophiles
to
out there
what's getting
are
introduced
loving
to our
this
kids
shit.
and at what age.
Many teachers also speaking out in support of what transpired inside the classroom on the last days of the academic year.
Head in the direction of banned books or book lists.
They're not banned.
Or selected
You can buy them
literature
and
that
you
should
can
only
beat
be
off to
read
them at your leisure.
Inside or outside of the classroom. I think that that's a very dangerous direction to go.
Chemically castrating kids
Now,
just
the
fine.
district
right?
says that the books were age appropriate and fell within their literature selection policy. And unlike sex education, the topics of gender identity don't require parent prior notice. But because of tonight's comment, the district will be taking this up as an agenda item.
This is your
next
schools.
month.
I mean,
All right, sounds like there's a lot of
keep
pressure
saying it.
there.
I keep
Okay,
asking
very
the same
good.
question.
Sharon, thanks very much. Live for
when
us
do you
tonight in
start
Rockland.
shooting? Sorry, but
Well, there was a heavy police
These are your
presence,
kids.
a lot of security guards, but no major or significant issues.
these are your kids. I want to play this for you. This is where is it?
$14 million a day are landing in the pocket of smugglers and traffickers, thanks to the Biden-Harris border policy. The only compassionate policy is border enforcement.
This is Tyler O'Neill, managing editor at the Daily Signal, and I'm honored to be joined by a bona fide hero in Tim Ballard
that's not
and
the
the guy who got to play him in the upcoming film, The Sound of Freedom. It is a masterpiece. You did an amazing job, just as you did in Passion of the Christ. Yeah, I saw it last night. So it was very moving. I gotta say, I'm honored to have both of you here with me today.
Thank you very much.
So I want to get
put a sign
right into it.
Above it that says,
Tim, the story is fantastic, surprising. You were telling me they even didn't want to include some of the details from the story because people wouldn't believe that it's true. But it is a true story. And would you just briefly introduce it and how you got involved in this important work?
Well, I had spent 12 years as a special agent, undercover operator for the Department of Homeland Security, investigations, working child crimes, child trafficking. And it was kind of an evolution. The first few years, it was mostly just end user, collector cases of, people who are possessing, distributing child exploitation material. And always wondering, where are the kids? I see these videos, it breaks my heart. I got to describe the scene in the movie that breaks my heart where
these teachers Jim are helping the pedophiles.
Having to describe these horrific sex scenes of children. And when I say children, I mean average age 7, 6, 5. Okay. And then in 2006, the laws changed.
That last story.
And for the first time, U.S. agents could actually go overseas and prosecute Americans for engaging in sex with children overseas and prosecute them as if they had committed the crime on U.S. soil. So that opened up my horizons, and I started finding the kids. And that was a frustrating process, though, because the law didn't stipulate how much time I would get or how much flexibility I would have or creativity I'd have. So I'd be given a week or whatever to find it. I'd always find the kids, but if I couldn't find the nexus back to the United States, come home. But I've seen kids. I can rescue. It doesn't matter. Come home. So it all kind of came to a head for me in 2012 when I was working 2 different cases, actually one in Haiti and one in Colombia. And I was told, come home on both of them. They were both major cases, a significant, hit against human traffickers would have taken place. And the film only focuses on the one in Colombia. And there I am thinking, they're asking me to come home once again, and I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stay. And that means I have to quit my job. And I call my wife, hoping she'll say, get your butt home. Are you kidding me? We got 6 kids to feed. And I wanted her to say it because I was being a coward. But I knew it was the right thing, and she did it. She didn't read my script, and she said, of course you're going to stay. And then and she ended that argument with Mary Servino, the Academy Award-winning actress, plays Catherine in the film, opposite Jim. And in the film, you see her say to me on the phone, you quit your job and rescue those kids. What she really said to me, because they didn't want to make me look like the coward that I was, because I was like, I'm coming home. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to be part of this. And she said to me very sternly, and she's usually pretty sweet, but this is righteous indignation at its finest. And this is a quote, because it was that powerful and it pierced my heart when she said it. She said, quote, I will not let you jeopardize my salvation by not doing this. And it breaks my heart because not only is she losing our income, but she possibly, very good chance, maybe 50-50, she's going to lose me. She's willing to risk becoming a widow because she knew that if I quit my job and stayed, and Glenn Beck, bless his heart, raised the money for us so that we could even do the operation because I had no money to do it. In the end, it was unbelievable. We rescued over 120 women and children. The film only gets into a piece of it. There's 54 rescued on that island, but the op was bigger than that. The movie didn't have time to get into it. And that is the basis of the film. And there's so much more, as you know, attached to that whole story, but that's the basis of the film. And when we did that big hit on October 11th of 2014, it made national news in the United States. Scott Pelley reported, CBS News, and Eduardo Verastegui, the producer, saw the clip. He had been working on a script with Alejandro Monteverde about human trafficking that was fiction. And they saw this story and they said, well, maybe there's a true story here. And that began the process of Sound of Freedom.
And Jim, what was it like for you, seeing these scenes? It rips your heart out. Just, they never actually show exploitation of children in the film.
I demanded they didn't. So if you make you don't make pedophile material here. You can't.
But you can't make that film.
Right. But you had to do the incredible job of acting the part of watching this exploitation, trying to describe it, typing it out, and we could see your eyes. I mean, just watching your eyes in that scene spoke of what was it like to do a scene?
I don't know how he does it. It took everything I had, and I taught him my own children. I adopted 3 of my children from China, and I saw the things that I felt were nefarious, even with adoption and all that stuff. And there are dangers in the adoption world with children and globally. So that was very easy for me to transfer. Like, what if this was your own kid? And that started the conversation in my heart. And then I wouldn't even hesitate. If someone was going to hurt my family, especially my children, my wife. It would just there's some things where it's like, I can't live without them, and that's what love is, and I'd take a bullet for him. So put myself in Tim's situation, and then I had a lot of, I was so grateful that he came to me. And, I remember at one point he came down, and I remember telling Tim, I think we've got lightning in a bottle. And I said that, and he said, that's good, right? Or something. And then I said, yeah, but it's going to be hard. Why? Well, because when it's this good, darkness gets very, very upset, because it's not a little light, it's a mega light. And it's going to draw a lot of attention. But we're in we struggled making it. We struggled getting the money together. We lost our money. We lost our studios that were supporting us, and yet we were just getting by a little bit at a time. Faith bonded us together. Eduardo, once we got it done, Eduardo Verostegui had to, bear the burden and try to get this film in studios like nobody will want it, even though they're moved, even though they get up and they, you could clearly see that it had the power to change a direction. But, we had the same issue with The Passion of the Christ, and that thing ended up becoming a juggernaut. And this one is showing, people are buying tickets right now, and major problem we have is that we don't have enough theaters. And so that's why we've been telling people, God, you got to get out and buy tickets like you did on The Passion, because you created a way for us. So imagine if you're in a hydroplane speedboat and you see a wall coming. We need people to tear that thing down, or we're going to go right into.
Well, when you talk about the evil here involved in human trafficking, in the sex slavery of children.
Yes.
And it's the kind of thing that beggars the imagination. You can barely understand how people would do something like this.
No, I understand it. I had to understand what they were thinking. I had to understand. I started from both ends: corruption, why power, why seduced to people do pretty much anything for a big major power at one end, whether it be honeypotted or what. On the other end, you got people starting with. So I worked with Tim, but Tim is very busy going on. But I had guys that helped me to understand the psychology. Or you're starting older with pornography, and you just keep going younger and younger and younger. I said, well, why would a man be interested in a unformed woman? He says, it's the innocent, it's a demonic thing that this innocent child. And it becomes more attractive to them.
Well, last night you briefly mentioned this idea of pedophile laws, I think you called them.
Yes.
Where and
making it easier for the trafficker and the pedophiles.
How
they're enticing
is American society doing that? What particularly?
Yeah. So last year we did a big operation. There's a 4-part docuseries coming out, produced by Tony Robbins. Mel Gibson also involved as consulting on this. He was part of the story. when Ukraine was attacked, Mel Gibson called me within hours. Okay, and I know Mel through Jim, and he said, "Hey, I got all these Ukrainian orphans that I help, that I support, and I'm worried about them. Can you go?" What a crazy ask! Can you go into Ukraine while bombs are dropping and go find these kids? And he didn't know that a few hours earlier, my wife came to me in tears and said the same thing. We were working on adopting about 7 children out of Ukraine at the time, not for through our foundation, Children Need Families. And so she says the same thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, Mel Gibson and my wife are both telling me to go to Ukraine while bombs are dropping, right? And I always was raised with the idea.
I could just see him.
He was in Budapest filming, and I thought to myself, I was raised with the thought that if Mel Gibson and your wife ever tell you to do something, and within hours of each other, you should probably do it, right? Who wouldn't? So I had to go to Ukraine, and I partnered with an amazing group that I sit on the board of Aerial Recovery, and we went in and started rescuing these children. 6,000 in the end. We got out of the war zone, but we were looking
6,000.
Yeah, we were looking for human traffickers because we know that they prey upon vulnerability, wars, hurricanes, whatever it is. And sure enough, we lock into this pedophile ring. Now it's a frightening ring because it's a political party that was out of Holland called the PNVD. Lots of media on them. They were trying to legalize sex with children. They thought a 3-year-old could consent to sex. Well, even in the Dutch arrested them in 2020, which is very hard to get arrested in Holland. I don't. Okay. You got to be really red light district. You got to be really bad, okay, to get arrested in Holland. They were arrested in 2020. Fugitives. They ran, and they were hiding. No one knew who they were. Well, they rear their ugly heads. The leader, this guy named Nilsen Matlin, he raises. I'm literally in Poland at the time, at our staging operation for Ukraine, and I get this information that this guy in Mexico is trying to traffic kids out of Ukraine. And so I go undercover. The Dutch asset who gave me that information infiltrated me, and I'm undercover talking to this guy. Well, in the end, we ended up, in fact, just yesterday, 2 of the guys were convicted in Ecuador because it led us to Ecuador, a child sex hotel, these pedophiles from Holland and set up. But we'll get into that another time, okay? But the point I'm making is I had to study their literature. This was a political platform. This was a political party. And what I started recognizing is I named them I call it the pedophile network doctrines. Okay, yeah. It's they include things like separate children from parents because parents are a bad influence. The state knows best. Sexualize kids. Let them see pornography. 2.
Karl Marx.
3. Take God out of education because that just gets in the way. And kids consent. Children can consent to anything. At 12 years old, they should be able to vote. They should be able to do anything. Now, what am I seeing here? My stomach is getting sick as I'm reading this. I read this every day. It's the woke left agenda. I'm not saying that they're colluding or talking. It doesn't matter. It's the same dark source. And they are pedophiles are sitting back right now going, we've been pushing this agenda for decades. And now we don't have to push anymore because the left is taking care of it for us in America. In America. And this whole trans voice on children. Again, I'm libertarian. Adults, do what you want. I'll fight for your right to do whatever you want. Okay? In terms of adult. I'm talking about children. Yeah. And what they're saying is children can consent to having their bodies filled with a chemical that will destroy the reproductive system. They can consent to ripping apart their genitalia. This is insanity. Why? In and of itself, it's horrible. But what it's going to lead to is what the pedophiles have been asking for. If you can consent to that, guess what? What's more fluid than gender? Age. I adopted 2 children in Haiti that we rescued back in 2014.
Well, really quick, we don't have much time.
Okay.
I want to hear you talk a little bit about the border because you spent a decade down there.
I can't believe you stopped me right there, man. You got to have me back.
I got to.
This is too important.
But yeah, I wanted just briefly.
Okay.
How is the Biden administration enabling this?
Well, look, the economy of pedophilia. Right? The United States is the #1 consumer of child exploitation material. We are the demand. So that means that traffickers want to get children into that dark market. There's a lot of money to be made here. The United States, also according to State Department, is in the top 3 countries for destination countries for human trafficking. So there's every incentive to get children into America, into the black markets here of pedophilia. And so when I find out that in the last couple of years, at least 85,000, I think it's much higher than that, but at least 85,000 unaccompanied minors Thousands of them, I've seen the CBP reports, are under 5 years old. Why is a 3-year-old showing up at the border? I can tell you why, because they show up with a name. The name is the sponsor that they're given by the trafficker. HHS gets the kids, and they, by law, have to call the number. Hi, we have Jose Gonzalez, Mr. George Smith. Yeah, that's my kid, whatever. Okay, they used to actually fly down and have to pick the kid up. Not anymore. Our taxpayer dollars will then send the kid by plane or bus to the sponsor. No background check, no DNA, nothing. And they deliver the kids. Our taxpayer dollars are literally, for the first time in American history, our taxpayer dollars are going to facilitate the last leg of a child trafficking event.
And the border is open.
The border is wide open. It's $14 million a day are landing in the pocket of smugglers and traffickers, thanks to the Biden-Harris border policy. The only compassionate policy is border enforcement, barriers, walls. Why? Because and the Sound of Freedom talks about this. Because the walls and the barriers lead the children who are being hurt into that funnel of rescue. Trained women and men in uniform are there. Those kids want to go through the port of entry. Those kids pray for a wall. The wall will save their lives. But let's take it all down. Let's open it all up. Kids are being abused by the thousands. And our taxpayer dollars are going for it, are actually funding it.
Do you have anything to say briefly on these?
I just turned to... I'm asking people, you have soldiers that fight for you, and you say, oh, we love you. Thank you for doing that. But we all have to be soldiers in this fight. And when you say, well, it's really too hard, I said, look, a parent has to have strength and fortitude to defend their own children, my God. And this film is something where when you watch it, you learn how routinely it occurs. You also learn the warning signs. That's good for the public. It weaponizes that individual, the parent or whoever that watches this film. But when, the chips are down, when God asks you, in this film you see it, can we love our children more than we fear evil? When God tells you to do something, you don't hesitate. God's children are no longer for sale.
Thank you so much again, Tyler O'Neill with Daily Signal. I had Tim Ballard and Jim Caviezel, and sharing such an important story, such an important movie, The Sound of Freedom.